I'm back again for another book review. This is Jennifer from the Litmosphere, and we will be today reviewing 3 books, one video after the other, as I've fallen behind in doing these reviews, and I'm trying to catch up on the books that I have finished for so far the month of February. This is my 3rd attempt at recording this video, as I have recorded it backwards and I've recorded it without my head. So let's give this one another go. The first book that I am going to be reviewing is the last book that I finished, and it is The Underground Railroad by Coulon Whitehead. The story is about a girl named Cora who is living on a plantation in Georgia and decides that with a fellow slave named Caesar, she is going to make a run for it. She's going to run away. And the story is about how Cora and her companions, over the course they do change, travels through the Underground Railroad. Cora is a girl who's born on her plantation as a slave, so she was born a slave and has never been free, and decides that after her mother made an escape several years back, she is now going to attempt to make the escape. Their family has been on the Randall plantation since her grandmother's time, and Cora does not fit in. She's kind of considered a misfit, a bit of a rebel amongst her people. She's kind of got a temper, I'm going to say. So in this book, Cora and Caesar, he's the one that had asked her to run away when the plantations were, little backstory, I guess. The plantation where Cora and Caesar are on is split into 2. There's a north and a south side to the plantation, and 2 brothers rule over each side. One brother is a little less savage, we'll say, than the other brother. And that gentleman is the one who oversees where Cora and Caesar are assigned to. So when that brother, I believe his name is James, passes away, the second brother is tasked with taking over both sides. And he is not a kind man at all. His punishments for anything really is horrible. I'm not going to describe any of them. You would have to read it in the book, because they're not something that I really want to rehash. But they are well-written scenes in the book. They're devastating, heartbreaking. But because of this gentleman's reputation, they decide that they are going to make a run for it, because they don't want to live under this gentleman's, I guess, regime. So they head out one night and accompanied or found out by one of Cora's friends, Lovey. At first they take her along with, but this does end up causing some problems, and they end up running into a group that ultimately Cora kills one of the men. And because he's a white man, this is a serious crime. So now are they not only on the run, they are also considered murderers, which is pretty much a death sentence. Not that at this point in time, anything they did was considered a death sentence. Now they're doubly scared for their lives. Despite being told entirely from Cora's point of view, sorry, not entirely, but primarily through Cora, is a amazing book. The Underground Railroad is not only underground, of course, but it is an actual railroad. They have actual tracks, trains, train drivers, wait stations, everything that a regular train system has, except the timetables are really difficult. Because of the situation and the atmosphere surrounding this story, the conductors don't really know, nor do anybody at the wait stations know where one train is going to the next stop. They themselves, or whoever knows, when they need to know. So when they left Georgia, they had no idea where they were going to head. You have to hope you end up in the best place possible. And if you don't like where you are, you always have the option of moving on. So this story is about Cora moving and her way across the Underground Railroad and where she goes. I think by the end of the book, she is one of the few people who has traveled the most on the railroad, just due to the fact that she is being tracked by a man by the name of Ridgway. And he is a slave catcher who was also tasked with catching Cora's mom, Mabel. He never caught Mabel, so I think he has a bit of a personal vendetta against Cora in that her family is besmirching his good name, and he's not going to tolerate it anymore. And so he has personally tasked himself with tracking her down and bringing her back to the Ridgway Randall plantation to have her justice, given to her. This book was wonderful. There was some amazing scenes in here. There were some scenes actually between Cora and Ridgway, the slave catcher, that were quite interesting to read. The difference between the two characters and their stations and lives and everything made their conversations very entertaining. And the way he treated Cora was such a strange handling that you almost weren't sure what the reasoning behind it was. It almost seemed like he was fascinated by her gumption, by the fact that her family seemed so strong to have evaded him twice, and that was unheard of for him. He was a very good slave catcher. The scenes of between the communities on the slave plantations, how they interacted and stuff, and how their hierarchy worked, and how Cora didn't really fit in, and all of this was quite fascinating. And it even delved into some of the political situations in regards to how the North and South were operating, how the different states were operating amongst the North and South, how white people were helping them out, and how it was just quite fascinating how the white people, even though they were helping them out, weren't helping them out. It was, and to a certain extent, some of them were thinking they were helping them out, where it was causing another sort of slavery for the Black community that were free. Overall, this was just a wonderful, fantastic book. I really enjoyed the writing. It did flow wonderfully. It was a very easy read, as in that the pages just flowed so nicely. The story flowed very nicely. It wasn't an easy read in regards to the subject matter that it did discuss and some of the scenes of punishment on the slave plantations. But overall, I did give this book a 4.5 out of 5. The only thing I had a problem with, and this isn't a problem with the book itself, this is a problem more so with me, I just had a hard time connecting with Cora. Just because myself personally, I've never had to feel the feelings or been in the positions she's been in. So I couldn't connect totally with the amount of rage or fear or anger that this woman had. I've never been in these situations. I've never had that kind of life. I mean, we all have our own personal tragedies, but nothing compared to what Cora has gone through. And so I struggled with that. So I think in some of these scenes, I just felt a little left out, I guess, because I couldn't connect entirely to, I mean, I could sympathize or empathize or whatever, but I just personally could not connect to that amount of anger or rage, victimhood that she has experienced. So I felt almost a little left out in these scenes, because I don't want to say I wish I could. I hope that never could anybody ever feel what she, or goes through what she had gone through. For me, it just meant that some of these scenes were a little harder to understand the grasp and the gravity of them. But other than that, this is a great book. I highly recommend to read it. I really recommend this book. It was fabulous, and not my favorite of the month, as it turns out, but I would say my second favorite of the month. It's a wonderful book. So tell me, what do you think? Have you read it? Did you enjoy it? Do you have a difference of opinion on it? Leave a comment down below. I would like to hear a different point of view on this story, actually. I again, am the only person I know that's read it, so I can't really discuss it with anybody else. But I would really love to hear your opinion on this book, or if you've read it. And so yeah, leave a comment down below, and I'll be back shortly with another review for one of the other books I've read this month. Bye!